There are nightmarish accounts of a shelter in crisis at the Animal Foundation in Las Vegas. The stories come from employees and pet owners alike.
The Animal Foundation is really the clearinghouse for most lost and stray pets here in our valley. But as 13 Chief Investigator Darcy Spears continues to expose in a series of reports, the journey to reunite with a lost pet can come with many twists and turns.
Heartache, frustration, and incompetence. Those are words from pet owners who say the valley's main animal shelter is failing the public.
So Diddy is a rescue cat that we rescued 6 years ago. The moment that we brought him home, he was already at home. It was like he was meant to be with us. He's our kid. He's my kid. It's not just a cat to me and my family.
One October night, while unloading groceries, Bridget Nave propped open the door between the house and the garage. Diddy saw a chance to explore and took it.
We saw him on the camera after we noticed he was gone and he had snuck out.
She canvassed the neighborhood, putting up flyers and posting on social media.
We're a mess. I can't sleep very good. I'm always getting up to go look out the windows, check the cameras.
After repeatedly checking the Animal Foundation's website to see if by chance Diddy had been picked up by animal control,
I saw a picture of what I thought looked exactly like him. Same weight described, everything down to a T. So I tried calling. I left a voicemail. I then emailed immediately.
She kept calling while driving down to the shelter.
When I got down there was only one person working.
The shelter had just opened for the day.
He goes into the back and he's back there for 30 minutes, comes back and says, well, the cat's being prepped for surgery right now to be fixed. And I said, well, my cat's already fixed. So then he goes, well, the cat's a girl, so it's not yours.
She left, but says something didn't feel right. She went back inside and spoke to a different employee.
She told me that she would go back and take a picture of the cat.
Then Bridget says they came back and said no pictures because of surgery preps. They reiterated that the cat was female despite what Bridget saw on the website.
It did say it was a male cat the very first time that I looked at it. After I had gone in there to talk to them, I had been constantly checking this website. I still do. And all of a sudden it was unknown. There was no sex at all anymore.
Fearing a mix-up, she sent her husband back later that afternoon.
He went there at 3 p.m., wasn't seen till 5:45. They told him that the cat was being prepped on the table for surgery, and I knew right then and there that they'd been lying to me the whole time.
When she went back a third time, she says they showed her a completely different cat than the one on the website. She recorded the interaction on her cell phone.
I think it was you said you were going to come back and take a picture, and then said you couldn't because he was on the table for surgery. Yeah. The lady on the phone, and that is not even the same cat. That cat isn't. That's not the same cat in the picture. You guys need to admit that you lost or gave my cat away to somebody else.
Each animal brought into the shelter is given a unique ID number. This screenshot with no gender listed is the first one she saw on the website. This one, with the same ID and a different picture, says it's a neutered male, even though they'd been telling her it was female all along.
What kind of mistakes are you seeing on those intake cards? Age is a common one. Whether they're spayed or not, that can sometimes be hard to determine.
Dr. Mindy Roberts recently quit her job in frustration.
I can't do it anymore there.
She was the Animal Foundation's relief veterinarian. 13 Investigate spoke to many current and newly former staffers who say mistakes at the shelter are common.
And sometimes some of those cases get missed. They shouldn't get missed, but due to lack of staffing and just overall poor management, we do what we can with what we have.
No one from shelter leadership would go on camera. They sent a statement saying, in part, the Animal Foundation takes in an average of 25,000 animals each year, and protecting their health and safety is our top priority, though the nationwide veterinary and labor shortage has impacted our operations.
They're very understaffed, I guess, but that doesn't give them the right to not do their jobs either. If they are losing information or, miscommunicating information, that's not okay. These are people's, animals, and they love them.
As for Diddy,
we just want him back. He's our baby. Like, we miss him so much. And I'm not gonna just back down. I'm not gonna let them get away with this.
The Nave family never gave up hope and never stopped searching for Diddy. 3 weeks after we met Bridget, the Animal Foundation sent her an email saying they sometimes return cats to the area where they were found. A few days later, a neighbor reached out after seeing Bridget's post on Nextdoor saying Diddy had just popped up and she'd been feeding him. We are pleased to report that Diddy is finally back home. Darcy Spears, 13 Investigates.
Problems with staffing and also conditions at the Animal Foundation have employees and also some pet owners crying foul.
13 Chief Investigator Darcy Spears spent months digging into these claims and found this is a problem with many layers. She continues her exclusive series of reports showing how leadership problems are having a devastating impact on pets.
Things are crowded, things are filthy, resulting in the suffering of thousands of animals. That is happening today.
It's happening again.
Dr. Mindy Roberts has been a relief veterinarian off and on for 20 years at the Animal Foundation. She was there in 2007 when a team led by the Humane Society of the United States came to Las Vegas to evaluate the shelter the first time it was in crisis.
A review of records indicates the vast majority of these animals became ill while at the shelter. That's happening again.
She alerted leaders that things were backsliding.
I can't abide letting animals die just because they're in the shelter.
Due to poor conditions and overwhelmed staff.
I tried emailing, to let them know that these things are happening and it's not okay.
It didn't help. She says understaffing leads to problems like you see with this little guy.
Somehow his tail was degloved down to the bone. He sat for 2 days without any pain medications for that.
Others, like licensed vet tech Liz Wade, report the same types of things.
Animals that would sit in kennels with broken limbs for days to a week before we could do anything for them.
The medical team also blames understaffing for the shelter's conditions. Kennels full of feces, dirty bedding left for days, brown water, escaped animals, and a massive outbreak of feline upper respiratory disease.
It's very dangerous. I had the one cat that had come in perfectly healthy. She was okayed by the veterinarian to go to adoptions, and while she sat on the shelter side, not in adoptions, she ended up getting so sick that she was literally dying when the staff brought her to me to look at her, and I had to euthanize her. The amount of animals that we're having to euthanize, it's more than normal, and it just having them suffer, dying in their kennel, in their litter box, that's not right.
In at least one case, Metro took notice and police have an open animal cruelty investigation.
That was something that was kept very hush-hush.
She's talking about what happened to a dog named Martin, who was left outside in the summer heat.
And apparently no one checked on this animal, this dog, and he died a bloody mess because he was cooking outside and trying to get back in, like clawing, basically fighting for his life to get back inside.
Former staffer Nicole Staples says a few days later,
it happened again.
To a dog named Bandit.
Why were those bungalows not checked before everyone left for the evening? We did those dogs a huge disservice. They died from our lack of care.
And there's more.
We did have a husky puppy that was thrown in the trash. It was accidental.
It happened when an attendant was cleaning a kennel.
She got tasked with this whole section to clean by herself, and she was going so fast.
The employee is hearing impaired.
And she couldn't hear the puppy screaming from the trash can.
It ended up dying.
And I'm the one that found the puppy, so that was rough.
I have documented all of this, and I have brought it to the attention of my supervisor or the animal care supervisor. I've even brought the attention to the COO and the CEO, Christine Robinson, and just like everything else at the Animal Foundation, it was swept under the rug.
Another wave of recent resignations at the leadership level underscores the rudderless atmosphere at the Animal Foundation. As my investigation continues, we'll look at why there's no quick fix and see what local leaders have to say about what we've uncovered. That continues tomorrow at 6 and 11. Darcy Spears, 13 Investigates. November 1st, and Dr. Joanna Jared, the shelter's only remaining full-time veterinarian, said she's out as of November 30th. 13 Investigates obtained the email Dr. Jared sent to Animal Control saying, "We are ethically obligated to be transparent about the care we can realistically provide," something that I and other members of the organization do not appear to agree on.
And that says to me that everyone can see that there is a huge problem, and even the higher-ups are unable to fix it. And so instead of staying and trying, they're jumping ship with everyone else.
Animal Foundation leadership refused our request for an on-camera interview, instead sending a statement from Chris Robinson that was nearly verbatim from this Facebook video posted on October 25th.
You should be confident that protecting the health and safety of the animals in our care is the Foundation's top priority. The city and county frequently inspect our operations to ensure that we're living up to that commitment.
When we began investigating in June, the city provided records showing their last official inspection was in 2017. After our records request, they began scheduling monthly visits.
Usually on those days, it's all hands on deck cleaning situation. They'll send out an email, make sure your stations are clean, make sure this is deep clean, make sure this is done. And then you're always like, oh, somebody must be coming to the shelter today. We must be having.
So it's not an unannounced inspection? They know it's coming?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay. In fact, we have email between city and county leaders and the Animal Foundation where they discuss scheduling a site visit. That came after another series of emails between animal control officials confirming quite a few complaints about conditions and operations at the Animal Foundation.
I don't think that they're fully aware of the depth of it.
The city said it would have Animal Control investigate the employees' allegations. The county sent a statement saying, "We agree that there have been some issues at the Animal Foundation. It's our understanding that, like many businesses and organizations across the country, TAF is struggling to maintain adequate staffing levels. There's also a nationwide shortage of veterinarians, which we are feeling the effects of here too. We believe the staffing challenges have caused or exacerbated some of the issues you're hearing about, but that does not lessen their importance. We've expressed our concerns to the Animal Foundation leadership, and they're working to address them." In what could be considered a cruel twist, former staffers say some of the fixes led to even more problems. We'll examine those, plus what could be the future of the Animal Foundation as this exclusive investigation continues tonight at 11. Darcy Spears, 13 Investigates.
Local leaders are angry and demanding answers from the Animal Foundation after 13 Investigates exposed what insiders describe as a crisis.
Both employees and also pet owners revealed a series of problems to Chief Investigator Darcy Spears, problems that local leaders now say were kept hidden from them.
My little girl Suki is 13 years old and she's a rescue.
North Las Vegas Mayor Pro Tem Richard Churchio was a dog man long before he became a councilman. What he saw at the Animal Foundation during a 13 investigation shook him.
When I saw those animals in the cages looking back at me, if I think about it too much, I start to get teary-eyed.
For Las Vegas City Councilwoman Victoria Seaman,
it's heartbreaking.
And infuriating.
And I'm appalled, I'm shocked. And it is my responsibility as an elected official to get answers and to make sure that we take care of those animals at the shelter.
Our investigation exposed overwhelmed, understaffed, and unsanitary conditions where employees say animals are needlessly suffering and dying. You've documented your concerns to management more than once.
Absolutely, yes. I have sent pictures of black mold I found in a cat's kennel, roaches, maggots in the chickens outside, fly infestations in the rabbit bungalows, just dirty kennels in general, animals that haven't had food or water in over 24 hours. I have documented all of this, and I have brought it to the attention of my supervisor or the animal care supervisor. I've even brought the attention to the COO and the CEO, Christine Robinson, and just like everything else at the Animal Foundation, it was swept under the rug and not brought to anyone's attention.
Councilman Churchio took a tour of the Animal Foundation when we started asking questions about it.
And it was horrific. And the thing that stuck with me most was when we went into the room where they keep the euthanized animals, that you could actually smell the bodies in the freezer. And I still have that smell in my nose.
Over the course of our 6-month investigation, CEO Christine Robinson announced her retirement effective at the end of this month. And the COO and only remaining full-time veterinarian recently quit, as did numerous other employees.
Everybody seems to be jumping ship. So from the top to the bottom, there is no organizational management whatsoever, and we have to do something.
The shelter's marketing director, Daryl Sprague, is currently in charge.
He's damage control, okay? That's all he's doing. He's just damage control. And he's coming up with a reason that everything is happening to them, that they're not part of the problem.
Churchio believes the problem is of the foundation's own making, starting with the pay for animal care staff.
For about $10 an hour. And that's all they get paid. That's in comparison to what the CEO makes over there of $240,000 plus benefits. I don't know how, be quite frank with you, how people could sleep at night knowing that they've enabled in some fashion or another this thing to grow to the proportion that it is right now.
The Animal Foundation continues to deny all our requests for on-camera interviews. The foundation tells 13 Investigates the shelter is working quickly to improve the treatment and care of lost and abandoned animals by filling open positions, implementing new cleaning protocols, and utilizing community partners to help treat injured animals as they recruit more veterinarians.
I don't buy it. And I think at this point, they've had problems for a long time, from what I'm understanding with your report. Why didn't they come to the city? Why didn't they go to North Las Vegas or the county for help?
They never said, we're in crisis, we're losing people.
Never.
Do this.
Never.
Why do you think?
We're going to get to the bottom of it, Darcy.
They get approximately $5 million a year between the 3 jurisdictions, meaning Las Vegas, the county, and ourselves, which is taxpayer money, to do the right thing. And it's not an easy job. It's definitely not an easy job. But you need to reach out and communicate with us if you're having a problem. And that's not happening.
Of particular concern to both council members is the lack of oversight. As we exposed, City Animal Control had not done routine inspections at the shelter since 2017 and only started scheduling visits this summer after we began investigating. So what's wrong with that picture?
Everything. And I've asked for a full investigation and a full audit, and I won't rest until we get one.
During our initial investigation, the Animal Foundation claimed we are complying with our contracts.
What do you make of their claim that they're in no way violating any provisions of their contract?
I think they're living on another planet. We're not looking to harm TAF. We just want them to do their job. Simple as that. And if they can't do their job, they need to let us know and get out of the way.
At Wednesday's City Council meeting, Councilwoman Seaman said it's time for action.
I feel like we may require a third party to do an independent investigation of the operations at the foundation, in addition to our own investigation, and also modifying our agreement with the foundation to include representation by the city on their board of directors.
The foundation invited national expert Dr. Kate Hurley of the UC Davis Shelter Medicine Program to assess shelter conditions. Dr. Hurley led an inspection team in 2007 when the Animal Foundation was previously in crisis.
I want that shelter to be scared of backsliding to 2007. I want them to be permanently scared of backsliding to 2007.
So what can you do to help? The Animal Foundation says the sheer number of lost and abandoned animals in our community stretches their resources. If you find an animal that's obviously wandered away from home in your neighborhood, they ask that you try to locate its owner rather than bringing it here to the shelter.
But if they're not dangerous and bringing it in is like, it's going to put the whole system in jeopardy. Like, that does not make that bad choice of like, either you got to euthanize for space or you're going to have disease run rampant in the facility.
Also, make sure your pets are tagged and have a registered microchip so they can be quickly returned to you if they get lost. Also, if you need to give up your pet, try to rehome it first before surrendering it to the animal shelter. The Animal Foundation's full statement is on our website at ktnv.com. We will be keeping close tabs on the city's investigation and audit as we continue to report on everyone's efforts to improve conditions here at the shelter. Darcy Spears, 13 Investigates.